Welcome to the Magento 1 End-of-Life Risks and Opportunities webinar. This will be the first webinar in this series over the coming months, so stay tuned for more information. All attendees who stay to the end will be shortlisted for a free migration assessment. We will explore more details about the assessment at the end of the webinar. Now, without further ado, I welcome today's speakers.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sosinsky. I'm a solutions engineer at Redstage. So my role here at Redstage is to figure out what our clients' needs and business requirements are, and basically fit the right technical solution and approach to that challenge. And Justin?
Yeah, so I'll give you a little bit of background on myself. Hey guys, my name is Justin Morrow. I'm the head of channel technical sales here at Magento. I've been with the company for about 5 years, but prior to that, I spent many years working for multiple systems integrators as a developer, an architect, a scrum master, team lead, things like that. So really, I just wanted to join the call here today and kind of help you guys understand what that journey looks like from M1 to 2. So thanks for organizing, guys, and looking forward to jumping into the presentation.
Great, so to start out, I just want to give a little intro about Redstage and what we're about. So Redstage has been around for just over 10 years now. We were actually the first agency to offer Magento support other than Magento themselves. At this point, we've worked on over 700 Magento sites all over the globe. So we have a lot of background and experience with this platform to draw from. We've been seeing this end of life come up for a while now, and as we get closer and closer, we've decided to take this initiative with Magento, try to make people aware and basically explain what end of life means. So when we talk about end of life for Magento 1, basically what we're working with here is a platform that was built with the latest and greatest when it was launched over 10 years ago. So since that time, trends have changed in the industry. One of the things that happens is our visitors have become more and more mobile. So as those changes have happened and improvements have been made to the platform, things have been bolted on here and there to kind of keep it up to date. But there comes a time when you've bolted everything onto a thing that you can, and you're kind of spending more time maintaining than you are improving your platform. That's when we kind of need to start from the ground up and use the latest and greatest of today to, give us the best platform that we can. I think this kind of speaks for itself, but what we're really seeing here is, despite Magento 2 having been out and stable for a couple of years now, there are, of course, a lot of merchants still using Magento 1. So what we're kind of anticipating here is getting closer and closer to the deadline, and basically having everybody kind of scramble at the end and end up in a situation where we're fighting for resources, a limited number of resources to make that very necessary move to Magento 2. So I want to talk about what an ideal migration from Magento 1 to Magento 2 looks like, and I'll go into a little bit more detail in this process a little later on. But basically what it comes down to is, in order to get in the discovery process, any necessary changes in design and theme, things like rebuilding integrations, installing extensions, and then debugging and launch, a healthy timeline for that, kind of puts us about where we have to be starting right now in order to be done in time for that Magento end of life deadline. So besides this being kind of an urgent must-do thing, we don't want to look at this as only a chore that we're kind of being forced to do. As I mentioned earlier, Magento 2 is all about bringing us the latest and greatest that the tech world has to offer. And we should look at this as an opportunity not just to enhance the performance of our site, but this is also a good time to do any changes in your theme and styling, maybe any rebranding, basically anything that you've been keeping kind of on the back burner or the to-do list. This is a great time to tackle those projects. So when we talk about the latest and greatest, I'm not just talking about the front end look and feel of the site. We want to look at the entire tech stack from the ground up, right? Everything from the hosting environment and the latest technologies we have on that end to maybe our marketing platform, any other back-end tools, fulfillment, A/B testing, marketing platforms, basically your entire tool set that you use to run not just your site but your entire business. It's a good time to look at that entire stack and see where we can make some changes and improvements that might fit in with the migration to Magento 2. And Justin, do you want to add something there?
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, for me, the main thing that really stands out for me, and the thing that in my experience has really been the biggest value prop, if you will, for moving to Magento 2, it really is that enhanced technical stack. Magento 2 takes that core technology to the next level and really delivers a highly performant platform that makes site management and customization just really much easier than before. For example, Magento 2 provides native support for things like PHP 7, Varnish, Elasticsearch, and all these things really do contribute to a significantly more performant website at the end of the day. Additionally, the overall workflow of upgrading, installing security patches, activating new extensions from the marketplace, all things that, we all go through as Magento merchants. All of this has really been modernized, and in my experience, it just really lowers that overall development time and the cost. And at the end of the day, just empowers your teams to focus more on growing the business. And I think we have more detail on the next slide there.
Yeah, so when I talk about making improvements to our entire tech stack, these are some examples that we see used a lot. Site Improve, that is a tool that is both good for an SEO evaluation and for evaluating ADA compliance. That being something we're seeing more and more important, not just to consumers, but also from a legal standpoint. Product information management is also becoming more important to merchants who are expanding into new markets. Product content is, of course, the lifeblood of any e-commerce business. Digital is a fully capable marketing and personalization platform. Foretell is also in that personalization space, focused specifically on product recommendations, such as anyone that's shopped on Amazon has seen. If you've bought, other customers have bought this, have also bought, that kind of thing. Amnesty is a Magento extension developer that we work with quite a bit. Has a very well varied and high quality selection of Magento extensions to choose from. High Conversion, that's a both analytics and A/B/multivariate testing platform that we've had having a lot of success with boosting our clients' conversion rate. Bright Pearl, that's kind of a lightweight, small to medium-sized ERP solution. So if maybe you're struggling with your aging custom-built ERP, or have a lot of inefficient back-end processes that you're putting up with, a new ERP is a good thing to look at. And finally, Octane is a hosting provider that we've been working with a lot recently, mainly because of their very good Magento 2 capabilities as well as fairly competitive pricing. So when we look at a change to our theme or our design, one of the biggest things that we're looking at doing here is making the experience better for the mobile, better for mobile devices. We've been talking about in the industry mobile first for a number of years now. We are now at that point where mobile first is literally the reality. Most of the e-commerce visitors on our clients are visiting on mobile devices. So that's just one example of the way that Magento 2 has improved versus Magento 1 is putting that mobile capability up front. That extends all the way to the back end. Any of you that have tried to use the Magento admin from a phone know what I'm talking about. Magento 2, on the other hand, is fully responsive on the back end. So if you're checking on orders or anything like that from your phone, you're going to find that is a vast improvement on Magento 2. Justin, I don't know if you want to jump in here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, taking an outsider's perspective here, there's two things that really come to mind for me when it comes to what I would say rebranding or retheming, or really just think about it as the forward-facing brand of your company out there. And like we were mentioning earlier, that mobile-first approach is very predominant in Magento 2, but even more so than that. We've actually partnered with Google, and we've released our progressive web app platform, which is kind of the next version of responsive design, if you will. And I'm sure we can all remember on the call here maybe 5-6 years ago where responsive design was the next big thing, and if you weren't able to have a responsive website, Google was going to start penalizing you in regards to your search rankings and all these other things. So Magento is already in front of the next iteration of that, and it's really this concept called progressive web apps. And without getting too much into detail there, it's really just a reimagining of how to use your front-end browser to create a much more responsive and available mobile website. It's going to open up doors like, for example, offline shopping and being able to browse the site offline. Think of being on the subway or an underground train system, and you lose internet connection, but not losing your connectivity to the shopping experience. Those are all things that are really coming with our PWA platform, and there's an entire studio that comes with that. It's really a whole developer studio that really allows you to create these progressive web apps and test them and really start to think about deploying them. And another thing that goes hand in hand with the rebranding and the retheming, but maybe from a different angle, really is staging and preview. So this right here, if we're talking feature functionality, pound for pound, is one of the biggest reasons to upgrade to Magento 2. From the administration panel in Magento 2, you now have the ability to not only schedule all of your changes to go live autonomously, but you can preview the site exactly as it would appear or behave at a future date. So kind of like a time machine, if you will. Furthermore, this preview of the site can be quickly and easily shared with other team members, which really reduces those overall bug fixes. So if I really had to say, pound for pound, the one feature that really makes a Magento 1 to Magento 2 migration worthwhile, it really is that staging and preview functionality. It's something that's been needed in the platform, and no matter what you're selling online or what kind of business you do online, there's always room for being able to preview the website and automating where you can, so that you're not, coming in Friday at midnight to launch changes and then, hoping everything goes well. So that's a really great addition to the platform. Cool. So I wanted to really just run through a few other advantages, more specifically towards what I would call the hosting or the cloud, but really Magento has completely re-envisioned our approach for, let's just call it cloud. I actually see this much more as the day-to-day process that it takes to maintain and launch new code to the production server. All of this has really been completely reimagined for Magento 2, and this is our cloud offering. Now, right now we do use the AWS infrastructure on the back end, but keep in mind we are exploring other solutions out there to those who may be a little more sensitive to Amazon services and they see them as a competitor. We are exploring Azure as well as a few other options, so you can definitely keep an eye out for those. But the main thing to take away here is really what we did with this solution is we took all of the best in breed kind of most performance, best way to deploy a Magento website, period, and we bundled it up into a solution that really is very easy to get into. And honestly, this should really help you on your journey from Magento 1 to Magento 2. Just to kind of walk through a few of these tools a little more in depth. So underneath the hood here, we actually leverage this great tool called platform.sh. And without getting too technical on this call, platform.sh is really a user experience or user interface that lies on top of everything. And from that UI or from that website, developers or merchants or really anybody involved with the project can quickly and easily create new branches, start working on the project, submit code for review, spin up new environments, back things up, take all the data from production, migrate it down to the staging environments to do your testing more accurately. This has really all been kind of encapsulated via a really great UI, and that's a tool underneath the hood that we use called platform.sh. Really, really invaluable tool. Another thing that's really worth mentioning here is this pre-integrated New Relic solution. So I would venture to say that a lot of the people on the call probably have some exposure to New Relic right now. It's just an amazing tool that allows you to really get in there and almost instantaneously see how the site is performing in many different avenues. And what a lot of our merchants will do is they'll run these reports. And let's say they just pushed a launch out and they're noticing a 300 millisecond dip in this particular user experience. New Relic is a great reporting platform that'll kind of give you some insight as to what's going on there. And then on that next release or the hotfix, you can patch it up. So as we all know, keeping the site performing is really crucial for any web platform. And New Relic is an amazing tool to get you there. The final thing that I'll mention that is just really significant is this solution called Fastly. So this is kind of a best in breed, world-class CDN. I believe it's the same CDN that like Netflix uses, so big, giant, well-tested CDN. But it also provides a lot of other things as well. There's things like, web application firewalls built in. Fastly handles the DDoS protection as well to kind of make sure your site is secure and it's not being overwhelmed with those DDoS attacks that just happen, more and more frequently. Another thing that's worth mentioning with the Fastly integration, though, is we have a unique kind of approach in which we're not only using Fastly for the content delivery network for, JavaScript, assets and things like that, like your images. We've actually tied that into the Magento page cache. And, when you really take a look at the numbers in regards to performance from M1 to M2, that's really a big component of it. So we're really proud of that internally. And again, we've kind of buttoned all this up and packaged it all up to really specifically make that journey from M1 to M2 Cloud as easy as possible.
All right, so what does it look like going from Magento 1 to Magento 2? As I mentioned in the beginning, this is more than just an upgrade. This really is a platform change. We really are going from one platform to an entirely new and improved platform. So what does that process look like? First of all, we're going to look at the theme and the design of the site. Even if we are sticking with an identical look and feel going to the new site, we still are going to have to rebuild that theme for Magento 2. So that's kind of the first step there is figuring out what the site is going to look like. The database does need to be migrated over, and that's products, customers, the customer's order history, as well as any reward points or other data that goes along with existing Magento extensions. Luckily, there is a pretty friendly tool to kind of simplify that process, especially for the product catalog and customer database, so it's not really completely from scratch. Next, we want to look at all of the functionality on the current site that needs to exist on the new Magento 2 site, as well as any other additional functionality that may be on the wish list. Any integrations between Magento and your other systems, whether that's email marketing, your ERP, fulfillment, CRM, those connections are going to have to be rebuilt. Again, that's not really going to necessarily be a from scratch approach. Magento 2 does offer the same endpoints and then some as compared to Magento 1. And then finally, as with any platform change, we're going to be going through an extensive testing and debugging process where we look at the site on all the major devices and browsers and make sure that your customers aren't going to see any broken pages when we relaunch. So to take a look at one of these projects that we have recently completed, I want to highlight this case study on AllTerra Central. And this was a little bit unique in that at the same time that this migration was going on, this company had basically acquired a competitor. So we're going through not just a migration from Magento 1 to Magento 2, but also a rebranding, a combining of catalogs, and a combining of the shared set of features that those two sites were offering. So this was migrating both a Magento 1 site and a Squarespace site into a single Magento 2 site with an entirely new look and feel. So here you see just a side-by-side of the original site on the left and the relaunched site on the right. The goal here was to kind of keep a familiar look and feel while also being new. So what we have here is a site that has the two product catalogs combined. So this kind of cleanly brings the visitors from both the original Martin Instrument site and the WBS site into the new AllTerra Central site, while keeping elements that are familiar to both original customer groups. And earlier on, I mentioned Amnesty as a great extension company. I just wanted to highlight here that we managed to, I think, hit almost all the points that we needed to hit in terms of additional functionality with this kind of suite of extensions from Amnesty. I think that helped keep the timeline down to a minimum. But basically, this entire suite is all from Amnesty, being able to hide the price for B2B customers, attach files to products, offer pre-ordering capability for upcoming products, offering separate shipping options to B2B customers, a B2B ordering grid, an enhanced product grid for the back end for order fulfillment, and a store locator. It was all from our partner Amnesty. We also got this up and running very quickly with the help of Octane. Again, great and Magento 2 support. It was a very, very smooth launch all around. So just to recap here, what we've talked about is, not just the risks of staying on Magento 1, which honestly really isn't an option. Magento 1 support is going to end. Staying on a platform that isn't going to have any more patches isn't really a viable option. But besides focusing on the negative, I want everybody to remember this is an opportunity to not just get on the latest platform, but bring all of your front end styling up to date, get your design ready for the millennial generation, enhance your back end capabilities, and basically give your entire operation a refresh to keep up with current technology. So the first step here, basically what we're offering is a completely free assessment, no obligation here. Redstage will go in, take a look at your current Magento site, look at the state of your SEO, look at your analytics. We'll also be using the high conversion tool I mentioned earlier to kind of look at the health of your shopping funnel. This example right here, you're basically seeing all the visitors that come into the site. Then on the next level down, we're looking at visitors that have interacted in some way. Then we're looking at visitors who made it to a product page. Then the next step is adding products to the cart, and then of course checking out. So what we can see right off the bat here is that there's room for improvement on the product page. Why do we have this kink in the funnel between all of these visitors that made it to a product page, 42% of everyone that came to the site, and yet only 6.3% manages to add something to the cart? So that is just one example of the kind of analytics and performance that we're going to be looking at your site to kind of give you advice about where are the opportunities for improvement as you move to Magento 2.
All right, and now I believe it's time for the Q&A session of this. All right, so I'm just going to take a look through the questions that we have here. Give me 1 second to pull some out. So we still have one right here, which is what are the real dangers of not moving to Magento 2? Justin, do you want to take that one?
In regards to dangers, I don't think this is a Magento specific thing, and this is just me speaking kind of openly. I think it's just a a technology thing. I mean, technology changes pretty dramatically, as we all know, and I think, just kind of arming yourself internally with the latest and greatest, tech stack, and then the latest and greatest tools, that are kind of forward thinking for that next iteration of websites in general, and, kind of creating those experiences. I really do think that's the best thing anyone can do to arm themselves. And another thing that's really worth mentioning is, although the platform has changed as well, I mean, Magento as a company has really, really expanded. As you guys know, we were purchased by Adobe, so that's opening up a lot of new doors for us internally. We've got new research and development. We've got more product people working. We've got more support people working, and overall, it's just the entire organization has grown. So I would rest assured that kind of working with Magento too, and kind of building those relationships here and elsewhere, we can really help you kind of push forward into the future.
Great. And another one is how long should we expect Magento 2 to last? If Magento 1 is dying, I get that there's kind of a fear there.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I wish I knew the exact end of life myself, but I think, again, just like I was saying before, that's really, it has all to do with technology. I mean, we've invested very, very heavily in the M2 platform, as we all know. So if I had to put a thumb in the wind, I would say that's definitely the next 5 years going forward. But I think Magento 2 also was a very pivotal movement from M1. So technologies change pretty dramatically in the time from M1 to M2, and the overall technological landscape is much more modular now. So I think you would imagine, I would definitely expect going forward, an upgrade in 5 years to look dramatically different than what we know as an upgrade now with Magento, or really any solution. Magento is extremely modular, and it's really designed to be extended and kind of deployed. So I would expect even more of that modularity to come down the line. So was there anything else you guys wanted to add?
No, I mean, I would just add that I think we got 12 solid years out of Magento 1. That's obviously not a guarantee that of what we can the kind of lifetime we can expect from the platform.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. And I guess trying to keep the time here. I know everybody's busy and you have to go get back to other things. So just want to jump in and say thank you to everyone for joining us for the webinar. This is only the first in our series. There's going to be several other webinars following this. So please stay tuned and keep up to date with all the latest stuff that we're going to be putting out. And we hope that you join us for the next one. Thank you all. Have a good day.